Welcome to the Rotowire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, sponsored by WinBet. Clay Link here with Todd Zola of Rotowire.com. It's the usual drill on this Friday morning, Todd. We'll be looking ahead to next week, the week of June 14th, 2021, grading all of next week's two-start pitchers on a 0 to 5 scale. How are you on this lovely Friday morning?
It is lovely, isn't it? I'm doing okay, especially because you can hear me. My microphone, my poor microphone, went for a tumble last night, so I'm glad it's still working.
Nice. Well, glad to be back with you. I thought it was a great pod with you and Fred Zinke, the Z team, earlier this week. Definitely go back and check that out if you haven't already. And I don't have a lot of news to get into, but I will throw some pickups at you, Todd.
Throw them at me.
Stake League. Sam Long. I'll have to pick James's brain because James Anderson was the big spender there. On Sam Long, he did well in his debut, but only 4 innings, struck out 7. I'm a little surprised by that, but I guess Sam Long might be a guy to keep an eye on this weekend.
That is Sammy Long.
Okay. Well, it's Sam Long. Sam Long at CBS.
A couple of different places, Sam or Sammy. That's why we use index numbers. Yeah, I had to project him for the site when he started earlier in the week, and the question was how long he was going to go. I mean, James will fill in the blanks. I'm probably just spewing what James wrote on the site. So he's get it right from the horse's mouth. But
not a guy I've ever heard him mention as a prospect guy.
Well, because I don't think he's been he's
not really a prospect,
right? And he's 25-year-old lefty. 2 pitches, looks like it's fastball and either curve or changeup. Now I forget which. Fastball and curve, I believe. Working on the other one, and 2-pitch pitcher. They expected to be in the bullpen. They're kind of stretching him out because he looked good at the alternate site. And like you said, he had a good first outing. Low pitches. Could he get 5 innings? Am I going to project him for 5 innings this coming week? Yeah, but I don't think he's going to go much more.
Yeah, let me take a look ahead at who he's got, Sammy Long. It's actually a 2-step for him. Well, maybe not really, unless if they get somebody back. Maybe Aaron Sanchez comes back, but maybe not. I think he's probably, if he fares well, probably in there. But it's versus Arizona. That's a pretty nice matchup. They've been kind of quietly, just awful. The Diamondbacks have just dropped so many games lately.
And they've got a few good hitters, but they're just kind of in a vacuum,
Wonder if I'd imagine they'll be sellers at the deadline, but we'll have to see what they can do.
What do they have? The thing is, what do they have to sell? It's one thing to say sell, and you can sell and get stuff back, but I don't think that they've got the expiring contract, let's get back a bunch kind of players.
Yeah, that's true. So, maybe David Peralta, maybe one of their starters if they get healthy. But they don't really have a ton.
But again, in today's market, what does that get you?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So, you'd get rid of, you do that. But even so, the one they're talking, I'm kind of off topic, but there's some talk about if they deal anybody to get something back of substance, is Ketel Marte.
Yep. I've seen the Yankees linked, or at least rumored as a logical landing spot. Makes sense.
Right. We'll see. Yeah.
Could see that. Jake Fraley went for 12 behind Sam Long. He's been, I think last time I checked, he's had more walks than Ks, at least since he came back from the minors. And great defensive play the other day, and Kelnick down. So
he's running. He's running, and that's the key. And the Mariners have shown Dylan Moore and not so much with Prince, but why am I forgetting his name? The kid from San Diego, France.
Oh, France, yeah.
Yeah, once they'll stay with the hot hand, and this might not just be a fill-in scenario for Fraley. He may be platooning, but a strong-sided platoon in a 16-team league like you're talking about is pretty good.
Yeah, it really is. He does have more walks than Ks. 17 walks against 12 strikeouts, 4 bags, 2 homers, a 974 OPS. That'll play. That'll play as they split out. That's why, past production isn't a be-all, end-all.
He's shown signs.
Yeah, he was a prospect, but in his past, he had basically no success in the majors before.
My Labor team trials and tribulations are no way to judge, but I had him on I have him on my labor reserve, which means he did something sometime in the past 5 years. That's kind of my criteria for labor reserves.
Yeah. You have Fraley in labor?
I'm pretty sure I have him on my reserve.
As a reserve in that league. That's pretty nice. Maybe I'll have to. I don't have much to move.
Well, I don't either.
You're right behind me now.
I just lost Nick Madrigal. So I was already when you're lamenting on a Friday morning losing Nick Madrigal, it's an only league, but even so, it's probably not going to be a great weekend.
Vlad Jr. has lifted the dead carcass that is the rest of my roster to a fourth place mark right now. I don't know if any of us are going to be able to catch Ian Kahn, who's I think 11.5 points up on everybody else. Hell of a team for Ian and great run. We'll see if anybody can catch him. But the number 3 pickup in stake league is actually going to be one of our 2-start starters for this week. Tucker Davidson, a $10 ad. Syndergaard was the drop there. Tucker Davidson had some success, and they certainly need him there versus Boston versus St. Louis next week. Versus Boston scares you a little bit. Both starts in a pitcher's park. I guess I don't necessarily need the grade quite yet, Todd, or the score on 0 to 5, but do you like Tucker Davidson as a pickup?
Yes, I like him as a pickup, but it's sort of in reference, relative to what's out there and what you get at this time of the year. He's still streaming, and this is an interesting 2-step this week. All you need to do is put on a Houston uniform against the Red Sox, and I'll stream that pitcher. I don't care who it is. They just having trouble hitting anything in a Houston uniform. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do. I don't love them, but I think I like the team context. Even though Atlanta, Truist Park is a hitter's park, but I do like the team context. I think they seem to be doing okay with pitching, so I'd like it. If you're forced to play him in that 2-step, I know the stake league's staggered a bit. It's a rough 2, but in today's game, if you need the innings, you need the innings.
Yeah, only 17 2/3 in the majors so far, 3 starts. The luck factor kind of stares you in the face.
He's out over his skis. He's not especially dominant.
Not a 1.53 ERA pitcher.
Well, yeah, but he's not especially dominant.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that works
BABIP. 188 BABIP so far, 89.7% left on base rate. Yeah. Does have a pretty high ground ball rate so far. That's nice to help mitigate homers, and a pretty darn good run at AAA to start. That was 20 innings in a 0.90 ERA. Also a low BABIP there as well. But yeah, it's not a dominant profile. You're right. It only throws 93.2 on average. Does have 2 variations of the breaking ball, slider, and the curve. We'll see if he can add some more strikeouts to this, because he'll need more of a K punch to.
Well, once he gets to the majors, once he gets to the majors and they give him the spider tack, he should be fine.
Man, what a weird time it is. The great players in the game, the 3 juniors, Shohei, they should be, the top stories in baseball. But instead, we're talking a lot about spider tack around the game. Scott Barlow was an ad for 6. I could see it. Vladimir Gutierrez of the Reds has been okay. He went for 5. Cole Irvin for 3. Bobby Bradley for 3. And I was kind of hoping to get him in labor last weekend. Didn't get him, but a lot of raw power, obviously. UT or DH only, though, in a lot of leagues. That hurts his appeal.
It should not. Is he playing first base at all? It should change, though, shouldn't it?
You're right. He should get that pretty soon.
Yeah, in a 5-team league, he's got to be close. That rule book is 5, but NFBC is 10. So we'll check on
4 hits, including 3 for extra bases in his first 10 plate appearances this year. Did not get a look at all last year, which was a little weird to me. Just as I guess they were pretty competitive, but the fact that they just didn't give him a call up at all last year makes me think a lot of that swing and miss was still there at the alternates.
Yeah. So we got three games so far first base. By the end of the weekend, he'll have the 5 needed for the rule book definition, but he'll still be a week short of probably NFBC qualifications.
Yeah, NFBC is 10 in season still, right?
Right.
But good start for him. That's always good, especially with some other prospects around the game kind of falling on their face this year. Good to see Bobby Bradley, 25-year-old, doing well. And it's only 3 games, but they got rid of Jake Bowers, who ended up with Seattle.
And he started last night.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know about him, but Seattle doesn't have much, and they can afford to give him a look. At least
they can. But we talked about Fraley. They've got some. Dylan Thomas is the guy that may platoon with Fraley. They've got some of their own players they need to take a look at. But you know what? Sure, it's free, and he has a pedigree. I can understand why Seattle would want to give a chance.
Justin Dunn, a $2 ad. I picked up Jose Cisnero for $2.
Okay, the Dunn I don't understand, but no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, Cisnero's not been very good, but I think he's got a couple saves recently. Yep. I just lost Ian Kennedy to the IL. So
hopefully short period of time, but we'll see.
Yeah, let me check again what it was with Kennedy.
Sore hamstring.
Mild left hamstring strain. Okay.
Yeah, and what is it? The kid. They just called up the
DeMarcus Evans.
DeMarcus Evans. You're right.
He's pretty good.
Josh Sabors failed for a couple save opportunities. Whether they give it to Evans or not is interesting, but either one is a speculative pick because Kennedy. We're talking about trading of the Diamondbacks. Kennedy could be on the block. Yeah,
I definitely think he's very strong candidate. Actually, somebody was asking me if they should drop him in the cut line fab, and I was like, probably hold on to him. Then he hit the IL the next day.
Yeah, that's a tough one because it's one of those things where if he does get traded, it may be to a non-contender, and it's one of those things where in the cut line you have to decide, do I want to strengthen myself to get to the run at the end, or do I want to be strong at the run at the end? And I'm always I need to get there first. So that would have been a tough move.
Joshua Lowe of the Rays was picked up for $1, a stash there. Max Stassi, this is only a 1-catcher league, so he was picked up for $1. Same with Eric Haas. I've mispronounced his name before, but I'm looking at Baseball Reference right now, and it is Hoss is the pronunciation, which is perfect because he's been a Haas so far.
And he went for as much as Stassi?
Yeah. This is only a 1-catcher league, but 16 teams. I'm a little surprised he didn't go for more.
I would, Haas is going to play more than catcher. And
he's been playing
a lot more than, Stassi, you just, field. Whoever, was probably a player better than I am, just paid $1 for last week's worth of homers and may not get anything, that's all. So
that's a good point. Yeah. You love a catcher who can play elsewhere. And Haas has 5 appearances out in left, right, along with 15 behind the plate. So that's fantastic. You are kind of chasing the heater there, but hell, a catcher. Oh man, he had a sub 400 OPS each of his prior 3 years.
Who was that, Haas or
Haas
or Stassi? Yeah, well, I think you're chasing playing time.
Yeah,
what you're doing with Haas. With Stassi, you're chasing the heater.
That's true. Marvin Gonzalez, Joe Panic, some pretty boring names. Jake Lamb's been playing a decent amount. Taylor Walls was picked up, $0 ad. Bailey Falter. No, that's the guy James has talked about here or there. And then Aaron Sanchez. But, not a ton out there. If you're looking for closers, it's pretty tricky. Again, I picked up Cisnero just because he's had a couple lately. But it doesn't seem like a whole lot of guys coming into the job. And even a guy like Lucas Sims, who I think is the 1A, but he pitched in the 6th inning yesterday. Apparently, it's something going on with TJ Antone, and we'll have to keep track on that entering today's games.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the teams that we'd be chasing second closers are already using, 2 or so. There's fewer have the job next in line setups than there have been in the past.
Absolutely true. Well, before we get into the 2-start starters for next week, let's quick throw to a word from our sponsors. And we are back on the Rotowire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, sponsored by WinBet. Clay Link and Todd Zola about to run through all of next week's 2-start starters, grade them on a 0 to 5 scale. You can follow along with us by going to rotowire.com, going to the lineups drop down, projected starters, custom start dates, 6/14, show starters. Again, 0 to 5 scale. And be sure to check out Todd's weekly pitcher rankings for more up-to-date kind of version of this. I mean, more in depth, Todd does. But as we get closer to next week's lineup lock, things will change. Cards subject to change, as they say in the wrestling business, Todd. And so let's get into this. Madison Bumgarner may be back next week. Is he definitely back? Definitely is not the right word to use here, but we have him projected. But that's definitely up in the air. So definitely no lock that Madison Bumgarner even makes one of those two. But if he does, that first one's a revenge game at San Fran. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, the piece may be out soon. I posted these Z files. I found it interesting. What the piece was, what I found interesting, I'm not telling you the piece, you're not going to have no idea. And the idea, I listed the top 30 spin rates for four-seam, curveball, slider, and cutter, 4 pitches that need spin. And Bumgarner was on like 3 of the lists, and he's had improving spin rates. So forget about the jokes about, what good is it doing him? I just find it interesting. And Adam Wainwright fit in this mold too, that a couple old veterans are showing increasing spin rate over the past couple of years. A couple of guys, what can we get away with? I don't want to accuse. Maybe I just did kind of accuse. I just think it's kind of curious that's happening. But anyway, I don't know. Bumgarner, I know he had the air quote no-hitter. What are the matchups one time again?
Let me get back to this. I think it's at San Francisco and then versus the Dodgers. So I'm going to give him a 1, I think.
Yeah,
because I don't even know if he's
I'm assuming he's back, but I don't like the pitcher as much anymore, and the Dodgers scare me. So does San Francisco. So I'm going to go with a 1.
Yeah, I keep seeing at San Fran, and that's still kind of in my head like a little bit of a layup, but they've been great, and so that should not be the case. Matt Peacock, I'm going to give a 0.
Yeah, don't even need to go into his spin rates.
Now we can get around to that Tucker Davidson grade or score, whatever you want to call it. 6 scoreless innings on Wednesday against the Phillies. Fan 4 did not get the decision, but love to see a guy going that length versus Boston versus St. Louis again. 2 tough matchups at home, at least Boston is, and second one still at home in a good hitter's park. So I'm going to give Tucker Davidson a 3. I can't go higher than that.
I'm going to go 2. The lack of strikeouts scare me. I think there's some potential to blow up.
I look forward to seeing where he's ranked on your weekly pitcher rankings, because he is a tough guy to figure out where he slots in this week. For Baltimore, Matt Harvey and Zach Lothar. Okay. Now, he was optioned back last Sunday, looks like. So I think he can come back. And not a lot to see there. He's struggled at AAA too, with an ERA north of 7. So that's a 0.
Yeah, 0 may not. It's kind of more of an opener, I think, too, at this point.
Yeah, that's true. Harvey, would you consider him in any scenario?
I don't think I consider him in a Harvey only league. No, Harvey Wimbledon over him.
I couldn't see it. Nathan Ivaldi, on the other hand, versus Toronto at KC. Now, obviously, he's rostered everywhere, and you're turning him loose. I'd probably say at KC is pretty nice. I'll probably give him a 4.
I'm on that 3-4 cusp, and I'll go 4. But it should be clear cut, but he's been struggling a bit.
That's true. Now for the Cubs, Jake Arrieta and Trevor Williams. Trevor Williams on the IL right now, but he has resumed throwing. Played some light catch last weekend, so this is tentative for him. But he's definitely not had a lot of success. But he's a guy I think you can stream here or there, and I have done that actually in one league to some success. It hasn't always worked out, but at Mets versus Miami for those two. I actually feel a little bit better about Williams than Arrieta. Not that I feel strongly about either, but I'm going to give Williams a 2 and Arrieta a 1.
I don't even know if I want to give Arrieta a 1, maybe out of respect, but I'll go 2-1. But I wouldn't be surprised if Arrieta, if I don't like what I see.
Yeah, that's pretty. Actually, Arrieta, he's been on a pretty brutal run lately. He actually gave up only 1 earned run his last outing, but he had been knocked around pretty good with a 7 earned run outing and a 6 earned run outing. Between April 30th and June 4th, he had a 8.28 ERA. But you never know, and I think the venue is so good there at Mets versus Miami.
Yeah, that's the key, and the veteran and getting knowing what to do. All right, we're gonna give him the 1.
Mentioned Vladimir Gutierrez among the Stake League pickups. He's got 2 at Milwaukee, at San Diego, and same for Luis Castillo, who I just can't figure out. And it's been a lot of the defense, but it's also, and as Eno Saris has pointed out, the lack of dominance on that trademark changeup for him. Just the stuff number has declined. I don't know why exactly. But at Milwaukee, at San Diego, I'm going to give Luis Castillo, I guess I want to put him on the Nady Ivaldi. I guess I can't do that. I'll give Castillo a 3 and Gutierrez a 2.
Sounds right. I mean, I mentioned the podcast with Fred Zinke. I'm at a loss with Castillo at this point. Just as you think the answer, he changes the question on you. Didn't look terrible last time out with the rain game there, with the rain delay, but I don't get it. And the numbers I look at, cool. I mean, it's more like, Eno's the lead, and I'm kind of agreeing there as opposed to he's corroborating my findings. But I don't know. I just don't know what it is. And is it the seams are messing up his ability to get the change up? And I don't know. But I
do wonder if that defense has just gotten in his head, because I've said it many times. On opening day, it was minutes into that game that there was an error at shortstop, and those issues have just compounded. And I wonder if it's kind of affected his confidence, his willingness to throw in the zone. And
I'll say this, and it's kind of non-Zola type analysis. I think the demeanor looked better the last time I saw him. Was it just yesterday? He didn't look like a pitcher that's been struggling. But whatever that and $4 to get you a coffee at Starbucks, I guess.
It was yesterday. I missed that game because, when they're in Milwaukee, they get blacked out, and Bally Sports Wisconsin or whatever it is now, not on YouTube TV, so that's a real bummer for me. But get to watch the Reds again this weekend. Jean Carlos Mejia didn't make it out of the first inning his last time out, gave up 4 earned runs, and he hasn't gone more than 3. Was pitching really well before that, but if you have no chance at a win and coming off a blow up, I'm going to give him a 0.
You give him a 0, but I think he's the guy that you want to kind of just keep your eye on if you're in a keeper league and you can get him cheap and the salary carries over. He's someone I think might develop down the line.
Okay, yeah, I don't imagine you'd say the same for Sam Hentges. Just time to not somebody worth bothering to keep an eye on.
Yeah,
you'd probably get 2, but yeah, that's a pretty brutal pitching staff for them right now. I mean, Cal Quantrill's gotten knocked around, Mejia and Hentges in there, and
yeah,
kind of a weird team. Austin Gomber, now he's got 2 home starts. He's been pitching well since that infamous Gombering, but now 2 at home. I'll give him a 1 just because I can see in an NL only, maybe you're down, you take a chance, but this could sink you very easily.
I'm already sunk, and I just realized I've got Mr. Sink himself, the twin Matt Shoemaker, alive for a Dodger start this week. I never took him out of a lineup I have. The thing with Gomber, I mean, not getting Gombered, etc. He's got a lot of road games in this stretch. Obviously helps, but he's got 2 home games, and he threw it 11 1/3 innings against Texas and the Padres, and he gave up. You only can see it on YouTube. This many runs in 11 1/3 innings. No runs in 11 1/3 innings. I mean, so he's been good at home too. I'm going to give him a 2, and I'm going to regret it. And am I going to play him at home? I guess it's in a DC, which I'm not going to win. So when I play him at home to money where my mouth is, it's not like I'm really putting money where my mouth is because there's no money near my mouth. But I'm going to say 2.
Well, that should be a brilliant 2-step. Who knows? I mean,
yeah, maybe I'll get into the money, right? Yeah.
Lance Lynn, Dallas Keuchel. Lynn is a 5. What about Keuchel, though? He's 5-1, but with a 4.14 ERA. You know the formula with him. It's ground balls and not many Ks. But few walks, too. Versus Tampa Bay at Houston. I'm going to give him a 3, I think.
Yeah, he comes into the 3 range, but I'm not comfortable with it. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go the Cole. I'm not going to say I'd rather have Gomber. No, I'm going to go 3 as well, but it's not comfortable.
Yeah, the matchups do kind of scare you. The Rays just keep chugging along. It's pretty weird. And Houston against a lefty scares you, but revenge game. Yeah.
Houston scares me in general.
Yeah, they do scare you.
I mean, it's scary. I mean, their offense is silly, and now they've got these young pitchers that are just. I mean, again, I'm tilted because tilted and jilted because they just turned into Cy Young against the Red Sox this week. But Sox won yesterday. But even so, it was just I'm impressed by this Houston team.
Yeah, same. So next up here on the 2-start starters, Matt Boyd and Casey Mize at KC at the Angels. Pretty good matchups for those two. Mize has been pitching pretty well. So same with Boyd. I mean, at least given expectations. I know Boyd had a little bit of a rocky stretch there, but then 6 scoreless in his most recent outing. Only 3 Ks. The Ks have been down for Boyd, which is a little troubling. I'm going to give Boyd a 3, and I think I'm going to give Mize a 4, actually.
I've got them both kind of next to each other in the 4 range. I'm going to stick it with that. I think Boyd's strikeouts should return. I'm going to need to do a little bit of a look, but I'm going to go 4 on both.
All right, I got you down for 4 on both of those guys. Next,
I should mention with Boyd, my spreadsheet doesn't buy into the narrative that he always tails off. This starts to tail off. Mm-hmm. So other people may factoring that in because his history is to start strong and fall off. I don't have a column for that on my spreadsheet yet.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the Astros here. Okay, so McCullers is due back. He threw 64 pitches for AAA Sugarland yesterday, so he'll be back. Do you think they go with the 6-man? Because they got Odorizzi back. Yeah, I
think they should.
They probably
whether
should.
They will, I don't know. I mean, you could think would as good as Urquidy and Garcia and they all look. And Javier's in the bullpen. He could start for 15 teams, for goodness sake.
Yeah, he got a save. I had to start him one league. I was thrilled to see.
So I think it makes sense to go 6-man. Whether someone has to probably explain. I mean, I used this joke on Sunday with Jeff Erickson, and we giggled and we both agreed that it's kind of unfair to put this on Dusty, but said something like someone has to explain to Dusty that you're allowed to use 6 men in a rotation.
It does seem something like an old school guy would not really want to do. But
it's not. I mean, that's not really fair. I don't think Dusty's he's not the guy that doesn't play anybody but veteran. I mean, it's kind of it's funny, but it's unfairly. Tony La Russa would be a better fodder for that joke.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. So we'll have to see. Maybe McCullers gets 2. Maybe they go 6-man. But we'll have to wait. Nobody we have projected currently for 2 in that Houston rotation. Kansas City Royals, Brad Keller versus Detroit. versus Boston. He's got more wins than losses, but these matchups aren't terrible at home. But I guess I'll give Brad Keller a 2.
Yeah, if I could take away his first 4 starts, I keep talking about all my terrible teams. I'd have fewer terrible teams. Yeah, he's actually been pretty good since his first 4 starts. I'm going to go 2 as well, but I'm going to, while I'm petitioning my commissioners to just strike those first 4 starts from the record.
I'm looking to see how Jackson Kowar, I need to figure out how to say that, but I'm looking forward to seeing how he bounces back this weekend. Then he's got versus Boston next week. So picked him up in tout points. And, if he has another kind of so-so outing, that'll really kind of depress the NFBC price on him.
Yeah.
Dylan Bundy at Oakland versus Detroit. I'm still holding out hope. And I actually saw him dropped in one league and I tried to pick him up, but I got outbid. I'm stubborn, Todd, but I still don't think Bundy's this bad. And at Oakland versus Detroit seems like a pretty good week to get right. So I'm going to give him a 4.
I have him in the 4 range. He is frustrating because he was nails. Then he ran into the Dodgers and the Red Sox. It's like, okay, you'd like him to do better against the good teams, but he just had a couple of bad outings against a couple of good teams. But he hasn't really recovered since then. So I'm a little more worried. I wasn't worried at the time. Now I'm a little worried. What was in Princess Bride? I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous, or whatever you said. Fred Savage there. I'm going to give him a 4 as well. You're right. I mean, health. Assuming he's not hiding something, he can't be this bad.
We talked last week about how deep Tony Gonzalez could go in his first start. We thought, well, if he's throwing 60-some pitches, maybe. I think last week we had him projected for 2 initially, but he only made 1 outing. I thought maybe in his second start he could get to 5, but he only threw 1.2 in his return Wednesday, which makes you think 5 in his second outing is a bit of a long shot. Not off the table. He did only throw 33 of 66 pitches for strikes, so he was a little struggled a little bit with his command. But 66, maybe bump him up to 75, still kind of a stretch. So, but if he gets 2, I think Gonzalez probably should be a solid 3.
Agree. I think I'm not so concerned about. Well, I'm concerned about the inning in 2/3 because he didn't pitch very well. But you're right. 66 pitches, 75. If you figure 15 an inning, he can get the 5 innings, which on the Dodgers can get you a win.
Yeah, it's very possible. That 1.2 is pretty low for 66 pitches, but if he's more efficient, maybe he could grab you a win next week. I think Trevor Rogers has gotten into that 5 tier. I think he's at St. Louis, at Chicago. I think I'm going to give him the ace 5 tag here.
8 at St. Louis, at Chicago. I don't know how we can't. I think you're right.
Now for Milwaukee, Brett Anderson, Freddie Peralta versus Cincy at Colorado.
At Colorado.
Ugh. So that eliminates Brett Anderson from the equation. He'll be a 0.
Well, he was categorically eliminated for me to begin with.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I mean the K's are just non-existent with him. Freddie, I think, even with at Colorado, I think I'll give him a 4 just because that knocks him down. But I've been really impressed with what I've seen.
Yeah, I don't want to get into what will his pitchers work in thin air. Colorado can't hit, and I know they got Trevor Story back, and I know it's at Colorado, and etc. So I'm going to go 4 as well. Nobody
currently lined up for the Twins for 2 since we're projecting Kenta Maeda back at the end of next weekend. Tentatively. The Mets, David Peterson, Taijuan Walker versus the Cubs at Washington. Peterson, I think, is a 0, but Walker, man, he's been great. So I think he's probably a 4, bordering on a 5.
I've got him in the 5 range. I want to double check on Walker's innings, but you're right. I mean, whether it's 4 or 5, we're using them, for prosperity. I'm going to say 4, but if I end up in the 5 range, which means he's top 20, please don't troll me. There's plenty of other things to troll me about.
I'll be keeping an eye out to see if he is top 20 on your weekly pitcher rankings, and be sure to check those out. Check out all the great stuff we have. James just had a prospect update too. So rotowire.com/try if you want to give us a shot.
Yeah. Speaking of which, aren't we just about at the Super 2 projected deadline? So people are going to be referring to James's list quite frequently in the next week or two, I would think.
Hope to see another wave of call-ups. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Some have actively hurt me in leagues, but that's my own fault. I swore that Jared Kelenic was ready, but I'm done thinking guys can hit the ground running. It's too hard of a game for that. I'm not going to make any assumptions, even though we have seen it in recent years. It's just to rely on those guys.
I know we're talking 2-start pitchers, and maybe this is better saved for another time. And we're talking about this in the tout table. But I had a theory, and it seems to have been borne out. Other people smarter than me are saying the same thing, so I'm going to go with them. And that is, some of the top prospects played in the alternate site last year, whereas the rest of minor leaguers just did nothing. I think minor league numbers are inflated a bit for the top players this year, just because they're ahead of the competition even more than normal. So
they actually got reps last year that were live.
Right. Yeah. So I think that we might. I think that we might be seeing overly and even more. So what's doing is it's raising our expectations even more than normal. And we fantasy. I know let's pump the brakes, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's what we're seeing. Maybe this is better saved for our talk in a couple hours on SXM. But I think that's what's happening. And like I said, other people mentioned it too, in that AAA numbers and even double A to a certain extent are more skewed than they normally are.
I was talking with James Anderson on Wednesday on the Prospect Pod, and I just said maybe I got a little spoiled with some of the call-ups in recent years, the Acuñas, the Bryants, even Bo Bichette. Gleyber Torres was great right away, and it's just not always the case. It's a very difficult game.
I think there are always a few of those in-betweens to give us hope that we're on the next guy.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more
personal success in leagues. The year one TGFBI, I drafted Buehler and Flaherty as quote-unquote stashes at the time because they weren't guaranteed a spot in the rotation.
Right.
And maybe I just fell in love with those shot in the arm guys.
All right.
Have to dial it back a little bit. But Jordan Montgomery at Toronto versus Oakland. He's been pretty good. I guess I have kind of a blind spot for him. I know a lot of really smart people were on him in draft season. I just couldn't see it. But at Toronto versus Oakland, I'll probably give him a 3.
I've got him in the 2 range, but it's kind of not to say precarious, but he's one of those, girl with a curl. He can look really, really good or really, really bad. But I'm going to give him a 2. I'm 4. Sorry, 4. I said 2 range. I had it in reverse in my head.
Okay.
4.
So 4.
I was thinking. He's in the second group for me, which makes him a 4, not a 2. So I'm going to go 4.
Sean Manaea in that group as well. He's versus the Angels at New York. That second one scares you. But he's been really good. And
at New York Yankees?
Yep.
Like bottom 10 of the league in runs, something like that? That doesn't scare me.
That's true.
I'm saying he's saying tongue in cheek.
Yeah,
I am top 10.
Lefty, it scares you a little bit.
Yeah, I am top 10. Wow. But keep in mind, my baseline for Manaea has been higher, and he's not doing anything to disprove it to this point.
I got a 4, but you got a 5?
Oh, I have a 5, yeah.
Now, what about Spencer Howard? Only 2 point.
What about Spencer Howard?
Innings, hasn't gone more than 4, and these just hasn't been that dominant. I mean, he does have 19 Ks and 13 2/3, but also 11 walks. He's just shooting himself in the foot. Inefficient. So I'm going to give him at the Dodgers, at San Fran. I think that's a 0, even for a guy who's pretty highly touted.
I'm tempted. I think I want to give him a 1. Okay. It's the innings that scare me. I mean, give him 4 innings in each game, he's a 0. I'm going to give him a 1, but it's I'm going to go 1.
Tyler Anderson was dropped in several leagues, and I think that we were one of them. And I'm wondering if there's any reason to pick him up at Washington versus Cleveland. Second one's pretty nice, pretty tough pitchers park in that first one. So I think I'm going to give him a 2. I don't really feel good about it.
Yeah, I need to keep in mind, Tyler Anderson or Tyler Alexander. We're talking Pittsburgh, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh, Tyler Alexander.
Yeah, because Tyler Alexander is beginning to pitch again for Detroit. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go 2 as well. I'm going to go 2.
Sorry, I took a swig at the wrong time. Ryan Weathers at Colorado versus Cincinnati. I like Ryan Weathers a lot. Probably not dropping him, but I don't know if I'm actually going to start him here. I could see some scenarios, so I'll give him a 2, and that's pretty scary.
Yeah, he's in the 2 range. I get him in the 2 range.
What about Marco Gonzalez?
To me, I'm curious. I mean, he looks like Weathers. He's such a young kid. But he's so poised.
Yeah,
I'd be curious to see just his body language in Colorado. I don't think he cares. I don't think he cares where he's pitching. I think he just goes out there and throws the damn pill. But Marco Gonzalez, has he had a start since coming back yet?
Yeah, he pitched Tuesday and only went 4 innings.
Right. He's always so tough, and
actually he's made 2 starts since coming back, and both were only 4 innings.
Yeah, he works on such a small margin of error, but he's so good when he's in a groove. I'm probably going to go 3, but I can get burned in either direction with that. But he's listed as a 4, but I may have too many innings, so I'm probably going to go 3.
Yeah, I'm going 3 as well. Now, Sammy Long, whatever you want to call him. We have him on our side as Sammy. CBS, you'll see Sam. Sam or Sammy. Versus Arizona versus Philly. James picked him up, and I kind of want to appeal to authority, but since he's kind of an unknown for me personally, I'm going to give him a 3. But maybe if you want to chase some upside and go with James, I could certainly see giving him a 4.
Well, I mean, 3 is pretty good for a guy that's pitched one game, and we do, in an adult that goes by the name of, I shouldn't make fun of like that. That's a cheap joke. I'm going. I like the matchups. I don't know how far he's going to go. I'll give him a 2.
Okay, yeah, I got a 3, but I'll get you down as a 2. And I think he only went like 4 in his debut, but
things must have changed on our chart since I did the initial, because I only have him for one start. So we may have been using different. Our guys are constantly updating.
Yeah, probably changed in the last couple hours. Adam Wolf does great work on those in the morning. Adam Wainwright for St. Louis versus Miami at Atlanta. I got to give him a 2 and no better.
Yeah, I'll agree.
Next up, Tyler Glasnow. He's a 5, right? Even at White Sox, and then at Seattle.
Even. I mean, he's a 5 regardless.
Yeah, the
White Sox in Colorado. 2 starts in Colorado. He's a 5.
Yeah, that's true. What about McClanahan? He's hit some bumps in the road, as you'd expect, but he hasn't gone more than 3 1/3 his last couple outings. He's given up 7 earned run his last 6 1/3, 3 homers. I still like the kid a lot, but I'm gonna probably give him give him a 3.
Oh, I was gonna say you're thinking about a 0, aren't you? You don't want to. You don't want to do it. I can't go 3.
You gonna go 2 or 1?
I'm gonna go 1. I'm not. The future is still really, really bright. I'm just not sure about the present.
Yeah, that's Seattle for me too good to pass up. But I
that's true.
That it's a little scary, especially given his recent run. Only 5 games next week for the Texas Rangers. Alek Manoah and Hyunjin Ryu for Toronto, at Boston for Manoah, then at Baltimore as a wraparound series. And for Ryu, it's versus the Yankees at Baltimore. Manoah, nice bounce back. A couple tough road matchups though, so I think I'm going to give him a 3 as well. But maybe that's me being too much of a sucker for prospects.
I'm going 4 for Manoah and 5 for Ryu.
4 for Manoah. Okay, that's a little more aggressive than I thought, but I like it. What did you say for Ryu?
5.
Yeah, I'll give him a 5 too. He's pretty darn good, that guy. Patrick Corbin playing with fire, and it's been more fire than I don't know what I'm going for there, but it has not been pretty so far. He's burned you most of the time. He does have a couple good outings on his ledger this season, but really has been kind of boom or bust. He's been really bad lately, so I'm going to give him a 2, I think. I don't think he's a 1 quite yet.
I do. Even with Pittsburgh there, I don't like what I'm seeing out of Corbin.
All right, well, we will review.
You know what? The Mets in the second one, though. Oh, gosh. All right, I'm going to go 2.
Yeah, he's scary, but I think that's fair. So we'll review our grades and scores for the week of June 14th, 2021. And let's get going here. Madison Bumgarner, 1. Matt Peacock, 0. Tucker Davidson, I say 3. Todd, 2. Zach Lowther, 0. Matt Harvey, 0. Nate Ivaldi, 4. Trevor Williams, 2. Jake Arrieta, 1. Luis Castillo, 3. Vladimir Gutierrez, 2. Giancarlos Mejia, 0. Sam Henches, 0. Austin Gomber, I say 1. Todd, 2. Dallas Keuchel, 3. Matthew Boyd, I say 3. Todd, 4. Casey Mize, 4. Brad Keller, 2. Dylan Bundy, 4. Tony Gonsolin, 3. Trevor Rogers, 5. Brett Anderson, 0. Freddie Peralta, 4. David Peterson, 0. Taijuan Walker, 4. Jordan Montgomery, I say 3. Todd, 4. Sean Manaea, I say 4. Todd, 5. Spencer Howard, 0. Todd, 1. Tyler Anderson, 2. Ryan Weathers, 2. Marco Gonzalez, 3. Sammy Long, I say 3. Todd, 2. Adam Wainwright, 2. Tyler Glasnow, 5. Shane McClanahan, I say 3. Todd, 1. Pretty big disparity there. Alec Manoah, I say 3. Todd, 4. Hyunjin Ryu, 5. Patrick Corbin, 2. That Shane McClanahan 3, nothing to do with wish casting for my labor team at all. Todd, anything else you got going on that you wanna mention?
Wish casting. I didn't realize it's about labor. My team's made a little bit of a run.
Yeah, you're right on my heels now.
I didn't know that when you said it. I'm like, what? So, that's interesting.
Yeah, good job.
What was this week's tout table? We kind of mentioned. Oh yeah, with the early trials and tribulations of the rookies, I'm just curious what people are going to do for the rest of the season. So there's some interesting answers. Have that posted a little bit later. We're still doing MLB this week. Is it next week you're off?
Yes, I'll be here next Friday, but then on the 25th of June, two weeks from today, you will be, I think, hosting with a guest host of your choice, perhaps. I don't know who it's going to be.
Maybe I'm out, because Jeff's away. So yeah, this week I'm doing it with who's I think John McKechnie's going to Jim Coventry will be filling in on XM. So right, but I'm trying to remember when you and Jeff gonna congratulate James for getting through a week with Liz on the Sirius this week.
Yeah, now he's got to deal with me for the next 2 days. But yeah, looking forward to taking a little time, man. We've been going hard since magazine crunch time, and needs a little bit of a mental breather. But looking forward to talking with you next week, Todd. And you all have a great rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you soon on the Rotowire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, sponsored by WinBet.
Try Rotowire today, free for 10 days. Get our premium tools, rankings, analysis, and breaking news alerts. No credit card required. Go to rotowire.com/try.